The national debt refers to the overall amount of money our country has borrowed and therefore owes to its creditors, both domestic and international. The budget deficit refers to the annual shortfall created by the difference between how much money we take in and how much money we spend as a nation. Basically, how much further we go into debt each year. It can be helpful to use an analogy, so let's use your household budget as a comparison. In this example, your household income level would be the equivalent of tax revenue, and your credit card debt, student loans, etc. would be the equivalent of the national debt. So imagine a household where instead of paying the medical expenses to treat Clayton's rare blood disease, the family decided to squander over half of their discretionary spending on high-end surveillance and a 24/7 security detail of armed guards and multiple tanks parked out front to keep away potential burglars, as they simultaneously and frequently send their private mercenaries to break into their neighbors' homes and murder them and replace the parents with people more aligned with their interests. And then imagine one of the other kids in this family, Jalissa, lives in a mansion out back with a butler and a swimming pool, with more food than they could possibly eat and more money than they could ever possibly spend, while Bimothy starves in the cockroach and rat-infested basement. And in this analogy, predictably, Bimothy is disproportionately likely to be black. Did you forget we were talking about America? Did I forget what I was talking about? Oh, right. Your household finances are nothing like the multi-trillion-dollar budget of an entire nation that can issue bonds, raise taxes, or literally print more money anytime it wants to. Now, we don't need to talk about modern monetary theory or debate the impact of debt on interest rates or inflation or the potential risk of an overheating economy to have this discussion about austerity politics. Because, big reveal, this is not an economics class. You're free to go to college if you want to learn about something like that. And I'm sorry, did I say free and college in the same sentence? What I meant to say is, you are more than welcome to go into massive debt that you will never be able to get rid of, including through bankruptcy, thanks, oh Biden, that will haunt you until the day you die. But more importantly, and I don't think I'm breaking some more news by saying this, the obvious truth is that when conservatives clutch their pearls over the national debt and budget deficit in the name of austerity, they are completely full of shit. They do not give a about the debt or the deficit. All you have to do is look at the deficit over the last 50 years to realize that it has increased under Republican administrations and decreased under Democratic administrations. Because if the GOP truly cared about the national debt, they wouldn't vote to increase it by more than $2 trillion via tax cuts for the rich. They wouldn't consistently increase our military budget, which is larger than the next 10 countries combined. And if they really cared about fiscal responsibility, they would recognize that this country spends over $1 trillion a year, 28% of our budget, on the consequences of child poverty. And so even if you couldn't care less about poor, starving children, spending money on the front end to make sure we don't have a bunch of poor, starving children we gotta spend money on would save this country a lot of money. So, no, they don't give a or a about the national debt. And it's not a coincidence that, as I mentioned before, poor, starving children are disproportionately likely to be black. Hey, thanks for watching that clip. Here's the evergreen end plate to ask you to like and subscribe. It's any day of the year where you are.